The metal handcuffs bit into Kwame's wrists with a cold fury that matched the autumn air. His face pressed against the hood of his own Mercedes, the heat from the engine still warm against his cheek. Behind him, Officer Derek Mitchell's voice dripped with satisfied venom. Well, well, well. Look what we got here, Patterson. Another one of these thugs trying to play dress-up in a nice suit. Kwame's jaw clenched. The Rolex on his wrist, a gift from the director himself, caught the afternoon sunlight. His tailored Tom Ford suit, probably worth more than both officers made in a month, was getting wrinkled against the car. But none of that mattered to these two cops. All they saw was his dark skin. Officer Patterson, the younger of the two, shifted uncomfortably. Sir, maybe we should just run his. I don't need you thinking, rookie, Mitchell snapped. I need you backing me up. This punk was driving erratically, and 3 months earlier, Kwame Thompson had walked into Director Walsh's office in Washington, D.C. with no idea his life was about to change forever. Agent Thompson, sit down, Walsh said, gesturing to the leather chair across from his massive oak desk. The director was a stern man in his 60s, with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. I'm pulling you off the Miami assignment. Kwame felt his stomach drop. The Miami case had been his for 8 months, a major cartel operation. Sir, we're so close. Another 2 weeks and… I know. Agent Rodriguez will take over. I need you for something else. Something that requires your specific skill set. Walsh slid a thick folder across the desk. Asheville, North Carolina. Small city, big problems. Kwame opened the folder. Photos spilled out, police officers in uniform, street corners, transaction records. Police corruption? Worse than that. We have officers working directly with dealers. They're not just taking bribes, they're partners. They provide protection, warn dealers about raids, even help transport product. In exchange, they get a cut of the profits. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars changing hands every month. How long has this been going on? At least 5 years that we know of. Probably longer. Walsh pointed to a photo of Officer Derek Mitchell. This is your primary target. His house was in a predominantly white neighborhood called Montford. Historic homes, tree-lined streets, the kind of place where people jogged with their dogs and waved at neighbors. Within an hour of moving in, 3 different neighbors had found reasons to stop by and introduce themselves. All friendly, all curious, all asking questions. What do you do for a living? Tech consulting. I work with companies on digital security. Family? My wife and daughter are back in D.C. for now. They'll join me once I'm settled. What brings you to Asheville? Change of pace. Wanted to get out of the city, somewhere with clean air and good people. They smiled, welcomed him, brought cookies and casseroles. But Kwame could see it in their eyes, the questions they weren't asking. How can you afford this house? Are you sure you belong here? Is this neighborhood about to change? He played his part perfectly. Friendly but private. Time seemed to slow down as Mitchell's gun cleared its holster. Kwame's training kicked in instantly. Assess, adapt, survive. He had maybe 2 seconds before this situation became irreversible. Gun. He's got a gun, someone in the crowd screamed. Patterson lunged forward, grabbing Mitchell's arm. Don't. Are you insane? Everyone's recording. Mitchell tried to shake him off, his face twisted with panic and rage. Get off me. This man is dangerous. Kwame stayed perfectly still, hands still cuffed behind his back, pressed against the car. Every instinct screamed at him to move, to fight, to defend himself. But one wrong move, and Mitchell would have the excuse he needed. Officer Mitchell, Kwame said, his voice cutting through the chaos with practiced calm. Look around you. 20 witnesses. 10 cameras. Your partner is literally stopping you from making a career-ending mistake.
Put
the gun
down.
A woman in the crowd, elderly, white, with kind eyes, stepped forward. Officer, I saw everything. This man wasn't doing anything wrong. You pulled him over for no reason. Ma'am, step back. Mitchell barked, but his gun hand was wavering now. More sirens.
Closer now.
Patterson's radio crackled again. Unit 23, Sergeant Morrison en route to your location. ETA 2 minutes. Morrison. Kwame's stomach clenched. Sergeant Bill Morrison was on the suspect list, Mitchell's direct supervisor and likely his partner in the corruption scheme. This was about to get much worse. Derek, please, Patterson pleaded, still holding Mitchell's arm. Think about your family. Think about your pension. Don't throw it all away. For a moment, Kwame thought reason might prevail. Mitchell's gun lowered slightly. Jesus Christ, Thompson. Are you all right? I'm fine, sir. Shaken but fine. But we have a problem.
Mitchell knows I'm federal now.
That means Morrison knows. If they're as connected as we think, the entire network knows within the hour. Then we move up the timeline. How close are we to making arrests? Close. Agent Chin says we have enough for warrants on Mitchell, Morrison, and 3 others. But the rest of the network will scatter like rats once they know we're coming. All right, here's what we do. You get somewhere safe. I'm sending a protection detail. We'll coordinate with the U.S. Attorney's Office and have warrants ready by morning. We raid simultaneously their homes, the precinct, everything. We grab what we can and sort out later. Sir, if we move too fast, we might miss the bigger players. We still don't know who's supplying them. I don't care about the suppliers right now, Thompson. I care about you staying alive. These men just showed you what they're capable of. Mitchell drew on you in broad daylight. What do you think he'll do in the dark? The words settled like lead in Kwame's stomach. Walsh was right. He'd just become the biggest threat to their operation, and they knew where he lived, what he drove, his daily routine.
He was a target now.
Understood, sir. Where do you want me? There's a federal building in Asheville, FBI field office. Go there now. Agent Chin will meet you. Don't stop. The FBI field office was a nondescript concrete building on the edge of downtown Asheville, the kind of place designed to blend in and be forgotten. Kwame pulled into the underground parking garage, his eyes constantly checking mirrors for the tail he suspected but couldn't confirm. Agent Lisa Chin was waiting by the elevator, a slim woman in her 30s with sharp eyes and an expression that said she didn't suffer fools. They'd communicated dozens of times over encrypted channels, but never met face-to-face until now. Agent Thompson, she said, extending her hand. Hell of a first meeting. Not exactly how I planned it, Kwame replied, shaking her hand firmly. Thanks for coming on short notice. Walsh filled me in. Come on, we have a secure conference room upstairs. She pressed the elevator button. I've been tracking some interesting financial activity in the last hour. Money moving fast, accounts being cleared. They're panicking.
Good.
Panicked people make mistakes. The elevator rose silently. Chun studied him with the assessing gaze of someone who spent their life following money trails and connecting dots. You handled yourself well out there. Most agents would have escalated. Escalating would have gotten me killed. Mitchell was looking for an excuse. He still might be. We picked up chatter on police radio frequencies. Nothing explicit, but there's definitely communication happening between the officers on our watch list. They know who you are now, and they're coordinating. The elevator doors opened onto a quiet hallway. Chun led him to a conference room where multiple computer screens displayed financial records, surveillance photos, and communication intercepts. This was the nerve center of Operation Clean Sweep, the evidence that would bring down Asheville's corrupt cops. Show me what you've got, Kwame said, settling into a chair. Chun pulled up a series of bank transactions. In the last 90 minutes, Officer Derek Mitchell transferred $47,000 from his offshore account to 3 different domestic accounts. Sergeant Morrison moved $62,000. 5 other officers on our list have made similar moves, all within minutes of your confrontation. They're securing their assets before we can freeze them.
Exactly.
But here's the interesting part. Chun highlighted several transactions. These 3 accounts receiving the money, they don't belong to the officers. They belong to civilians, specifically to Marcus Anderson, Troy Bishop, and DeMarcus Williams. Kwame leaned forward. Drug dealers? Street-level dealers, yes. All 3 have been arrested multiple times, but never convicted. Charges mysteriously dropped, evidence disappearing, witnesses recanting. Now we know why. They're protected by Mitchell's crew. So they're not just protecting dealers, they're directly A ghost of a smile crossed Kwame's face. Noted. He took the phone, dialed the number Chin pulled up. It rang 3 times before a hesitant voice answered. Hello. Officer Patterson, this is Special Agent Thompson. We need to talk. There was a long pause. Background noise. Patterson was somewhere public, maybe a bar. I don't think I should be talking to you without a lawyer. You're not in trouble, Patterson. Not yet. But you will be if you don't listen to what I have to say. The officers you work with are going down. All of them. The only question is whether you go down with them or whether you save yourself. I didn't do anything wrong. I know. I was there, remember? You stopped Mitchell from doing something catastrophically stupid. But Patterson, stopping him once doesn't erase everything else you've seen. Every time you looked the other way when Mitchell planted evidence. Every time you stayed quiet when suspects were beaten. Every time you knew something was wrong and said nothing. I'm just a rookie. Nobody listens to rookies. That excuse might have worked last week. It doesn't work anymore. Not after today. Not after you saw your training officer pull a gun on a federal agent and you didn't immediately report it. Kwame softened his voice. Patterson, I've read your file. Good grades at the academy, no disciplinary issues, family man with a wife and a baby on the way. You're not like them. You got caught up in their mess, but you don't have to go down with the ship. Another long pause. When Patterson spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. What do you want from me? The truth. Everything you know about Mitchell, Morrison, and anyone else involved in their operation. You testify, you cooperate fully, and I'll make sure the U.S. attorney knows you were a key witness. You might lose your job, but you won't lose your freedom. You'll get to watch your... Millie's Diner sat like a forgotten relic on Highway 40, its neon sign flickering against the darkening sky. The parking lot was half empty, a few long-haul trucks, a couple of sedans, and one aging pickup. No sign of Patterson's patrol car, but Kwame hadn't expected him to arrive in uniform. Kwame parked where he had clear sight lines to both entrances and the highway. His hand rested on his concealed weapon as he scanned the area. Every instinct screamed that this was a setup, but sometimes you had to walk into the trap to spring it on your own terms. He texted Chin. On site. Stay on the line. Her response was immediate. Back up en route. ETA 25 minutes. Don't engage until they arrive. But 25 minutes might as well be 25 hours if things went wrong. Kwame pocketed his phone and stepped out of the Mercedes. The evening air was cool, carrying the scent of pine trees and asphalt. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. Inside, the diner was a time capsule from the 1970s, red vinyl booths, checkered floors, and a jukebox that probably hadn't worked since Reagan was president. A tired-looking waitress glanced up from her crossword puzzle. Sit anywhere, Han coffee? Please. Kwame chose a booth in the back corner, positioning himself so he could see both exits and the parking lot through the window. I'm meeting someone. Young guy, probably nervous looking. She nodded without interest and shuffled off to get his coffee. The other patrons, 2 truckers at the counter, an elderly couple in a booth, paid him no attention. Kwame's phone vibrated. Patterson. I'm outside. Blue Honda. Is it safe? Kwame typed back. Come in. Alone. Through the window, he watched a blue Honda Civic pull into the lot. Patterson emerged, looking exactly as described, nervous, scared, eyes darting everywhere. The young officer wore civilian clothes, jeans, and a windbreaker, but his posture still screamed cop. Patterson entered the diner, spotted Kwame, and walked over with the gait of a man approaching his own execution. Agent Thompson. He slid into the booth across from Kwame, his hands shaking slightly. Relax, Patterson. Nobody followed you? I don't think so. I did what you said. Came alone. Checked my mirrors. He paused as the waitress brought coffee. But they know. Mitchell called me right after you did. He knows we're meeting. What did he say? Patterson's face was pale. He said if I talked to you, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. Which might not be very long. Did he threaten you directly? He didn't have to. The way he said it. Patterson wrapped his hands around the coffee cup like it might warm the cold fear inside him. Agent Thompson,
He already realizes.
which is why we're not leaving this diner until federal backup arrives. They're 15 minutes out. Patterson nodded, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. What happens now? Now you write down everything you remember. Names, dates, locations, conversations. Every detail. We'll use it to get emergency warrants and… Kwame's phone buzzed. Problem. Morrison just left the precinct with 4 officers. Heading west on 40. That's your direction. Ice flooded Kwame's veins. Patterson, we need to leave. Now.
What?
Why? Morrison's coming. With backup. Kwame threw cash on the table, already moving toward the door. My car, let's go. They rushed out into the parking lot. Kwame scanned the highway. No sign of Morrison yet, but that wouldn't last. He remotely unlocked the Mercedes. That's when he heard it, the roar of multiple engines approaching fast. Get in, Kwame shouted. Patterson scrambled into the passenger seat. Kwame fired up the engine, threw it in reverse. But before he could back out of the space, 3 police cruisers screamed into the parking lot, boxing him in. Morrison emerged from the lead car, followed by 4 officers, all armed, all on the suspect list. Mitchell wasn't with them, but Kwame recognized the others: Reed, Johnson, Williams, and Dexter. The corrupt core of the Asheville PD. Well, Morrison called out, his voice carrying across the lot. Agent Thompson. And Officer Patterson. What a coincidence, running into you 2 out here. Kwame kept his hands visible on the steering wheel. Sergeant Morrison. I'm a federal agent conducting official business. You have no jurisdiction here. Actually, I do. We received a call about a suspicious vehicle matching your description. We're just following up on a citizen complaint. Morrison's smile was cold. Now, why don't both of you step out of the vehicle? Nice and slow. We both know this isn't about a citizen complaint, Kwame said. This is intimidation. It's witness tampering. And it's being recorded. He held up his phone, showing the active call with chin. Everything you say, everything you do, is being transmitted to federal agents. So I'd suggest you stand down before you add more charges to the list you're already facing. Morrison's expression flickered, uncertainty, then anger. Recording without consent is illegal in North Carolina. Not when documenting a crime in progress. And threatening a federal agent is definitely a crime. The standoff stretched out. Other diners had come to the windows, watching. The family that had just arrived was hurrying their kids back to their car, sensing danger. Morrison gestured. Federal agents were loading Morrison and his crew into vehicles. The parking lot was a chaos of flashing lights and radio chatter. But through it all, Kwame felt a sense of satisfaction. They'd broken the network, gotten the testimony they needed, made the arrests. But one person was missing. Where's Mitchell?
Kwame asked Chen.
Her expression darkened. That's the problem.
He's gone.
Hasn't been seen since this afternoon. His house is empty, bank accounts drained, car missing. He's in the wind. Kwame's satisfaction evaporated. Mitchell, the ringleader, the most dangerous of them all, was out there somewhere.
Free. Angry.
And now he had nothing to lose. We'll find him, Chen said. We have alerts at every airport, bus station, and border crossing. He can't run far. But Kwame knew better. Mitchell wasn't running. Men like him didn't run. They came back for revenge. The Asheville FBI field office became a war room. Agents worked through the night, processing arrests, executing search warrants, and hunting for Derek Mitchell. By 3 a.m., they had seized computers, phones, financial records, and enough evidence to guarantee convictions. But Mitchell remained a ghost. Kwame sat in the conference room, exhaustion pulling at him, studying Mitchell's file for the 100th time. Chun brought him coffee, her own eyes red from lack of sleep. Morrison's talking, she said, settling into a chair. Not much, but enough. He confirmed Mitchell is the architect of the whole operation. He also confirmed our worst fear. Mitchell has contacts we don't know about. People who could help him disappear or help him strike back. He's not disappearing. Men like Mitchell don't slink away. They're too proud, too angry. Kwame rubbed his face. What about the chemist? Did Morrison give us anything on him? Only that he's real and he's from Atlanta. Uses burner phones, never meets face to face, always works through intermediaries. Mitchell was his primary contact in Asheville. Chun pulled up a map on her tablet. We've alerted Atlanta DEA. They're running down leads on anyone matching the description. Kwame's phone rang. Director Walsh. Thompson, tell me you got some sleep. Not yet, sir. Too wired. I can imagine. Good work today, yesterday, whatever day it is. You broke this case wide open. The U.S. attorney is thrilled. The media is going to have a field day when this goes public. Walsh paused. But we still have Mitchell out there. Any leads? Nothing solid. He's smart enough to stay off-grid. Well, stay alert. I'm authorizing continued protective detail on you and Patterson. Mitchell knows you're the key witnesses. If he's planning something. An alarm shrieked through the building. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Chun jumped to her feet, already reaching for her weapon. A voice crackled over the intercom. Security breach, level 2. All agents respond. Kwame and Chun rushed into the hallway. Federal agents were moving with practiced efficiency toward the stairs. Chun grabbed a passing agent. What happened? Someone tried to breach the server room. Guard engaged, suspect fled. They're reviewing security footage now. They raced down 2 flights to the security center. Multiple screens showed different angles of the building's exterior and interior. A tech agent was rewinding footage. There, he said, pointing to a screen. The image showed a figure in dark clothing approaching the side entrance. Face hidden by a hood, moving with military precision. The person had bypassed the exterior lock somehow, got inside, and made it halfway to the server room before a guard spotted them. Can you get a clear shot of the face? Kwame asked. The tech zoomed in, enhanced the image. The hood fell away for just a moment as the figure ran. Derek Mitchell. He came for the evidence, Chun breathed. He was going to destroy our servers. He's desperate, Kwame said. And desperate men make mistakes. Where did he go after fleeing? The tech switched cameras, tracking Mitchell's escape route. Out the side door, east toward the parking garage. We have units searching now, but... He's long gone, Kwame finished. But he just showed his hand. He's not running. He's fighting. Chen's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, and her face went pale. Oh no. Kwame, it's Patterson. He just texted me help with a location pin. Where? His house. Where we have him in protective custody. Patterson spoke, his voice shaking. Read, please. My wife is pregnant. Our baby. Shut up. Reed pressed the gun harder. Your testimony put my brothers in prison. You betrayed the badge. No, Patterson said, finding strength somewhere deep inside. You betrayed the badge. Mitchell, Morrison, all of you corrupted everything law enforcement is supposed to stand for. I just had the courage to tell the truth. Courage? Reed spat. You're a coward and a rat. Put the gun down, Reed, Kwame said firmly. Last chance. Or what? You'll shoot me?
Fine.
But I'm taking Rookie here with me. Time slowed. Kwame saw Reed's finger tighten on the trigger. Saw Patterson close his eyes. Saw Emma sob, one hand protectively over her pregnant belly. Kwame made a decision. He lowered his weapon slightly, drawing Reed's attention. You want revenge on me, not them. I'm the one who broke your operation. I'm the one who ruined your life. So point that gun at me. Kwame, no. Chin started. Point it at me, Reed. Let them go. You want to hurt me? Kill me, not them. They're innocent. Reed's eyes shifted, calculating. The gun moved slightly away from Patterson's head. That's when Patterson moved. Despite his hands being bound, despite his terror, the young officer threw himself backward, slamming into Reed's legs. The gun fired, the shot going wide, blowing out a kitchen window. Kwame didn't hesitate. He fired once precisely, hitting Reed in the shoulder. The corrupt cop dropped, weapon clattering across the floor. Chun was on him in seconds, securing him while other agents flooded into the house. Kwame rushed to Patterson and Emma, pulling out a knife to cut their zip ties. "You okay? Either of you hurt?" Patterson was shaking but unharmed. Emma was crying, clutching her husband. Is the baby okay?" "We'll get you checked out," Kwame assured her. "EMTs are en route. But I think you're both going to be fine." As they helped the couple to their feet, Kwame's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. "Hello, Agent Thompson." Mitchell's voice was cold, controlled. "Enjoy your little victory?" Kwame stepped away from the others, keeping his voice low. "Mitchell, it's over. Turn yourself in." "Over? We're just getting started." Reed was a message. "You hurt my people, I hurt yours. And Thompson? I know everything about you. Your wife Amara in D.C. Your daughter Zuri, age 6, attends Jefferson Elementary School. You picked the wrong man to mess with." Ice flooded Kwame's veins. "If you go anywhere near my family, then what?" The drive to D.C. felt like the longest 4 hours of Kwame's life. Chin accompanied him in an unmarked SUV, while a tactical team followed at a distance in 3 separate vehicles. They couldn't risk being spotted together. Kwame's hands were white-knuckled on the steering wheel. His mind kept conjuring images of Zuri, scared and calling for her daddy. Of Amara, trying to stay strong for their daughter, while terrified inside. Every mile felt like an eternity. "Talk to me," Chin said from the passenger seat. "Keep your head clear." "How do I keep my head clear when my 6-year-old daughter is being held hostage by a psychopath?" "By remembering that she needs you sharp, not emotional. Mitchell wants you rattled. Don't give him that advantage." Chun checked her tablet, monitoring the tactical team's positions. "We've got aerial surveillance en route. Thermal imaging will tell us how many people are in that warehouse before you go in." He said 10 guys. "Probably an exaggeration meant to scare you. My guess is he's got 3, maybe 4 at most. Still dangerous, but manageable." Kwame's phone rang.
Amara.
He answered immediately, putting it on speaker. "Kwame?" Her voice was shaking but controlled. "Are you there?" "I'm here, baby. Are you okay? Is Zuri okay?" "We're scared, but we're not hurt. They have us in some kind of warehouse. It's dark.
Cold.
Zuri keeps asking for you." In the background, Kwame could hear his daughter's small voice.
"Daddy?"
"I want my daddy." His heart shattered into a million pieces. "I'm coming, princess. Daddy's coming to get you. I promise." Mitchell's voice came on the line. Touching. "Really? But let's talk business, Thompson. You're what, 3 hours out?" 4. "Then you better drive faster. Because I'm not a patient man, and your daughter is getting on my nerves with all that crying." Rage surged through Kwame, white-hot and consuming. "If you hurt her..." "You'll what?" "You've got no leverage here, Fed. I've got everything you care about. So here's how this plays out. You show up at midnight. Alone. I see any backup, any surveillance, any tricks at all, and your family dies. Then we talk about what you're going to do for me. What I'm going to do for you. You're going to recant your testimony. Tell the U.S. attorney that you've fabricated evidence, that Morrison and the others are innocent. You're going to destroy the case you built." "That's insane. They'll never believe me." "They will when you're convincing. When you show them the evidence I've prepared proving you planted everything. When you admit to corruption and take the fall yourself." Mitchell's voice was smooth, confident. "It's either that or watch your family die. Your choice." The line went dead. Chin was already on her radio. "Did you get that? Please tell me someone got that recorded." "Affirmative," came the response from the tactical team. "Clear recording of Mitchell threatening federal witnesses and demanding false testimony. That's another 20 years on his sentence." "Assuming we catch him alive," Chin muttered. They drove in silence for a while. Finally, Kwame spoke. "He's not going to let us go. Even if I do what he says, even if I destroy my credibility and torpedo the case, he can't leave witnesses. He'll kill us all anyway." "I know. So, this is an execution. He's just making me jump through hoops first, humiliating me before he ends it." Chun turned to face him. "Which is why we don't play his game. We play ours. Kwame, we've got the best tactical team on the East Coast. We've got surveillance, weapons, training. We've got every advantage except one. He has your family. But that's also but not tonight. Tonight, he would fight with everything he had. Kwame walked toward the warehouse alone, his footsteps echoing on the cracked pavement. The building loomed before him, windows broken, graffiti covering the walls. A perfect place for nightmares. I'm in position, came Chen's voice through the earpiece. Sniper 1 has visual on the second floor. Sniper 2 covering the ground floor entrance. Sniper 3 on the east side. We've got you covered. The warehouse door was slightly open. Kwame pushed through, entering darkness. His eyes adjusted slowly, making out shapes. Old machinery, broken pallets, debris everywhere. Thompson. Mitchell's voice echoed from somewhere ahead. Keep walking. Straight back. Kwame moved forward, hands visible and empty. A flashlight clicked on, blinding him momentarily. When his vision cleared, he saw Mitchell standing 20 feet away, gun pointed at him. Behind Mitchell stood Marcus Anderson, the dealer known as Smoke, also armed. Stop there, Mitchell ordered. Turn around slowly. Let me see you're unarmed. Kwame complied, turning in a full circle. Mitchell approached, patted him down roughly, checking for weapons and wires. Kwame's heart hammered. If Mitchell found the microphone, this was over. But Mitchell's search was quick, perfunctory. He stepped back, satisfied. Good. Now we can talk like civilized people. Where's my family? Upstairs. Safe. For now. Mitchell's smile was cold. But their safety depends entirely on your cooperation. I'm here. I'm cooperating. Let me see them. Not yet. First, we discuss terms. You're going to. A crash from upstairs cut him off. Shouting. Then Amara's voice, strong and defiant. Get your hands off me. Mitchell's eyes flicked upward, distracted for just a second. Kwame considered rushing him but knew he'd never cover the distance before Mitchell shot him. Smoke, go check on that, Mitchell ordered. And tell Johnson to keep the woman quiet. As Smoke headed for the stairs, Kwame's earpiece crackled. Kwame, we've got a problem. Thermal imaging shows one of the heat signatures is moving toward your family. Looks aggressive.
No. No, no, no.
If they were hurting Amara. Mitchell, please, Kwame said, forcing his voice to stay calm. Whatever's happening up there, stop it. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt them. Then start talking. Tell me exactly what you're going to say when you recant your testimony. Kwame's mind raced.
Buy time. Keep Mitchell talking.
Give the snipers a chance to line up their shots. I'll say I was under pressure to make arrests. That I planted evidence, coerced testimony from Patterson. I'll say Morrison and the others are innocent, that I fabricated the entire case. Good start. What else? I'll admit to taking bribes, to corruption. I'll make myself the criminal, so your guys walk free. Mitchell nodded slowly. And what about the evidence? The recordings, the financial records, everything Chen's team compiled. I'll say it was all manufactured, that I hacked accounts, falsified documents. Without my testimony to authenticate it, most of that evidence becomes questionable anyway. Smart. See, Thompson? We could have worked together. You could have made good money being on the right side of this. The right side? You terrorized communities, destroyed lives, murdered innocent people. I maintained order. I kept the drug trade controlled, manageable. Without me, the moment Amara struck Johnson, training took over. Kwame dropped and rolled left as Mitchell's gun barked, the bullet sparking off concrete where he'd been standing. His hand found a piece of rebar in the debris, and he came up swinging. Breach.
Breach.
Breach. Chen's voice screamed in his earpiece. The warehouse exploded with sound. Windows shattered as tactical teams rappelled through. Doors burst open. Flashbangs detonated, turning the darkness into blinding strobes of light. Kwame swung the rebar at Mitchell, connecting with a corrupt cop's gun hand. The weapon flew across the floor. Mitchell lunged at him, and they crashed into old machinery, trading brutal blows. Through the chaos, Kwame saw Amara fighting. Even with bound hands, she'd gotten Zuri away from their captor and was shielding their daughter with her body. Federal agents were everywhere, engaging Mitchell's men in firefights that echoed like thunder. Mitchell's fist caught Kwame's jaw, stars exploding in his vision. But Kwame fought through it, driven by pure determination. He grabbed Mitchell by the throat, slammed him against a concrete pillar. "It's over," Kwame roared. "You lost." Mitchell's hand found a knife at his belt. The blade flashed toward Kwame's ribs. Kwame twisted, the knife scoring across his shoulder instead of plunging into his chest. Pain bloomed hot and sharp, but adrenaline kept him moving. He caught Mitchell's wrist, twisted hard. Bone cracked. Mitchell screamed, the knife clattering away. Kwame drove his knee into Mitchell's stomach once, twice, 3 times, then threw him to the ground. Federal agents swarmed over Mitchell, cuffing him even as he cursed and struggled. Kwame spun, searching frantically through the chaos. "Amara. Zuri. Here." Amara's voice. "We're here." He found them huddled behind a fallen beam, Chin crouched protectively over them. Zuri was crying but unharmed. Amara had a cut above her eye, but was otherwise okay. Kwame dropped to his knees, pulling them both into his arms. Zuri clung to him, her small body shaking with sobs. Amara pressed her face into his shoulder, and he felt her tears soaking through his shirt. "I've got you," Kwame whispered, his own voice breaking. "I've got you both. You're safe now. You're safe." "Daddy, I was so scared," Zuri sobbed. "I know, princess. I know. But you were so brave. So brave." Around them, the tactical team was securing the warehouse. All of Mitchell's men were down, some arrested, one being treated for a gunshot wound, none dead. A clean operation, all things considered. Chin approached, gave Kwame space, but smiled with genuine relief. "Nice work, Thompson. Everyone's going to make it home tonight." Kwame looked up at her, still holding his family. "Thank you. For everything. Thank your wife. That move she pulled? That was pure courage." Amara managed a shaky laugh. "I took a self-defense class last year. Never thought I'd actually use it." "Remind me to send flowers to that instructor," Chin said. Paramedics arrived, checking everyone for injuries. Kwame's shoulder needed stitches, but was otherwise fine. Amara's cut was superficial. Zuri was physically unharmed, though the trauma counselors would need to work with her. As they were being checked out, Kwame watched federal agents load Mitchell into a transport vehicle. The corrupt cop's eyes found his, burning with hatred even in defeat. "This isn't over, Thompson," Mitchell shouted. "I've got friends. People who'll make you pay." "No," Kwame called back. "It's over. Your friends are all in custody. Your network is destroyed. And you're going to spend the rest of your life in a federal prison, thinking about how you threw away everything. Your badge, your honor, your freedom for greed and hatred." Mitchell was shoved into the vehicle, his protests muffled as the door slammed shut. Director Walsh arrived an hour later, surveying the scene with satisfaction. He found Kwame sitting with his family, wrapped in emergency blankets while giving statements to other agents. "Thompson. Hell of a night." "Yes, sir." "How are you holding up?" "I'm alive. My family's alive. Everything else is just details." Walsh nodded approvingly. The U.S. attorney called. "With tonight's events, combined with everything else we've got, Morrison's testimony, Patterson's testimony, the evidence Chin compiled, we're looking at convictions for everyone involved. Mitchell, Morrison, Reed, all of them. Minimum 20 years, probably more." "What about the chemist?" "The supplier from Atlanta. Atlanta DEA raided 2 locations an hour ago based on intel from Mitchell's phone. They got him. Real name's Raymond Price. He's been supplying half the Southeast for a decade. This case just took down one of the biggest drug operations in the region." Kwame felt a wave of satisfaction. All the months of investigation, all the danger, all the sacrifice, it had been worth it. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people would be safer because they'd stopped this network. "Sir, what happens to Patterson?" Officer Patterson will likely lose his job, department policy about cover-ups, even coerced ones. But the U.S. attorney is recommending he face no charges. In fact, they're discussing having him testify at congressional hearings about police corruption. Morrison had taken a plea deal, agreeing to testify against Mitchell in exchange for a reduced sentence. Even so, he was looking at 15 years in federal prison. Now, the jury filed back in after 4 hours of deliberation. The four women stood, holding the verdict form. On the charge of racketeering conspiracy, how do you find?
Guilty.
On the charge of drug trafficking conspiracy?
Guilty.
Charge after charge, the same answer.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Mitchell sat stone-faced as his world officially ended. The judge set sentencing for 6 weeks out but indicated that Mitchell was looking at life without parole. Outside the courthouse, Kwame gave a brief statement to the press. Justice was served today. Not just for the case we prosecuted, but for every victim of police corruption. For Marcus Jenkins, who spent 2 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, his conviction was overturned last month. For Jamal Wright, whose family finally knows the truth about how he died. For every citizen who believes law enforcement should serve and protect, not exploit and harm. Reporters shouted questions, but Kwame was done. He'd said what needed saying. Now he just wanted to go home. Amara and Zuri waited in the car. Zuri had been seeing a therapist, processing her trauma. She still had nightmares sometimes, still got scared when she saw police cars. But she was healing, slowly but surely. How did it go? Amara asked as they drove away. Guilty on all counts. Life sentence probably. Good. Amara's voice was firm. No sympathy for the man who'd terrorized their family. Now we can finally move forward. That evening, Kwame sat in his backyard, watching Zuri play on her swing set. The simple joy of a child's laughter, the comfort of home, the knowledge that his family was safe, these were the things that mattered.
His phone rang. Chun. Hey, she said.
Just wanted to check in. You doing okay?
Yeah.
Better than okay, actually. We're good. I heard the verdict. Congratulations. You built a hell of a case. We built it. You, me, Patterson, everyone involved. Team effort.
True.
So, what's next for you? Walsh mentioned you're considering a transfer, something less intense. Kwame looked at Zuri, heard her calling, "Daddy, watch me," as she pumped her legs to go higher on the swing. I'm thinking about it. Maybe a training position, something that keeps me home more. Zuri needs stability right now. We all do. Makes sense. But, Kwame? The world needs agents like you. People who do the job for the right reasons, who won't compromise, who'll risk everything to do what's right. The world also needs fathers who are there for their kids. I've got to find a balance.
You will.
If anyone can, it's you. Chen paused. Hey, I heard through the grapevine that Marcus Jenkins is out of prison, got his conviction overturned. He's planning to sue the city.
Good.
He deserves compensation for what they did to him. Also, Patterson got a job. Private security firm, consulting on ethics and corruption prevention. He's doing okay. I'm glad. He earned his redemption. After hanging up, Kwame walked over to Zuri's swing set, gave her a gentle push to keep her momentum going. Higher, Daddy. Higher. He pushed, watching her soar, her laughter pure and untroubled in this moment. This was what he'd fought for. Not glory, not recognition, but this, the simple right of his daughter to laugh and play without fear. Amara came out, handed him a cold drink. You look thoughtful. Just thinking about everything that happened. How close we came to losing it all. But we didn't. Because you fought for us. She leaned against him. Kwame, whatever you decide about your career, I support you. If you want to stay in the field, we'll make it work. If you want to do something safer, I support that too. As long as we're together, that's all that matters. He kissed her forehead. I love you. You know that. I know. I love you too. As sunset painted the sky orange and gold, Kwame felt something he hadn't felt in months. Peace. The case was closed. Justice was served. His family was safe. There would be other cases, other criminals, other battles to fight. But tonight, this moment was enough. Because sometimes, the greatest victory isn't taking down the bad guys. It's coming home to the people you love, scarred but surviving, broken but healing, changed but still standing. Kwame Thompson had faced racist cops who became criminals. He'd exposed corruption at its deepest levels. He'd risked everything and nearly lost everything. But in the end,